right? You go back in the day and it's like hand fitting. But I say now in interviews, I'm like, if you're hand fitting these days, like you just got two bad parts that you sourced and you're trying to make them work.
Welcome back to Whiskey and Windage, and this week we are joined by Todd from Jacob Grey. Todd, how are you doing, man?
Good, man. It's been a crazy fall for us, so we're good. But
Yeah.
been stressful year, but I think next year is going to bring a lot of like hard work. This year gets us a lot of good things happening for next year.
I've said that. I say that all the time at work, where people are asking, how are you doing? And I'm like, I'm not complaining because I would rather be too busy than not busy enough.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm doing twice the work for the same amount of money,
Right.
whether it be me personally or the company. And I'm like, something's gonna break soon, man. It's gonna break. And I mean, I'm not complaining about it, but it's like, damn, I'm doing a lot of work right now, and it doesn't feel like anything's getting better.
That's right. That's right. I went to the doctor a while back and they were like, "What do you need?" I was like, "You know that movie Limitless? I need that."
Yeah,
Like make
two of them, please.
yeah, give me that. And they were like, "We can't give you cocaine. We don't prescribe cocaine." I'm like,
Oh.
"Okay, awesome. We'll take
Well,
that. We'll take that." I'll go back to just working.
yeah, that's probably the safer bet. Yeah, man, it's been since what, August? So it just a couple months since we last saw you guys out at
Yep.
the Guns Out TV range day. How was that for you guys? Just always wondering.
So we had an awesome show in there. We kind of came there expecting to, we soft launched our new firearm, the NOX9, and we got there and had no idea what to expect, and it was just like everything we could have asked for, add 10, and that's what we got. That was like basically how that day went. People loved to shoot it. It seemed to me, being our first time there, it was like at the competition side at the very end when it was competition time. Atlas probably was generally in past years the booth everybody ran to, and we happened to be right next to him, and it was kind of cool to see like a split of people going, well, you try that, I want to try this. And and at 80% finished, we brought out kind of an 80% gun of all the cool stuff and coatings and everything we did for that particular for that range event, and it went over awesome. Kind of started to kick off, there was so many people sending us pictures and they're like freeze framing and zooming in. I'm like, just stop, like relax, it's coming. Just
It's on its way.
let us do our
Yeah.
thing, man. We
Yeah.
have a plan. So it kind
I,
of got out a little early, maybe intentionally, but maybe not. And then it just kind of spurred on, and man, we're getting so many calls. Our dealers are sold out of that gun, so like as far as we can see. So it's been an awesome, awesome last probably 100 days since I've seen you guys at the Guns Out TV thing.
yeah, man, that one, that range event is a cool one. I like the range events that are predominantly range and less about being the trade show. Of course, XCal,
Mm.
I wish every gun shop in America was built like XCal because that place is just awesome.
Dude,
But
crazy.
Crazy.
yeah, but it's like it's the same circuit, whether you're selling guns or you're selling medical devices or you're selling speakers at SEMA this year, whatever it is. Like, trade shows are trade shows, and they're taxing, and you don't really know the impact until 6-8 months down the road, did this convert to sales? But when you can actually put products in people's hands and see their eyes light up, and you're like, all right, yeah, out of all these people, the Knox is a great product, and it's not inexpensive, but it's worth the price. Not everybody's going to be able to get one, but that you you secured quite a few on that range that day.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Industry guys too, they all want everybody, and all the, social media guys I tell them like, just relax, man. It's coming. It's coming. There's only a few made. I get dealers calling. I saw this dealer has one, and I'm like, he doesn't have one. Stop. He doesn't have one. I
Yeah, it
promise you, he
doesn't.
doesn't have.
He
Just
doesn't
relax.
have it. Yeah.
It's
God, that's
awesome.
gotta be. Yeah.
It's
So
a different, it's different from us, right? Like we came into, and I don't know, I mean, I'm sure we'll get into a little bit more of the history, but like we're in a position right now where, for the last 2 years, we kind of jumped into the 2011 space, and then we did a way of business of manufacturing because that was what our goal was. We want to manufacture 2011s, double stack 1911s. And we got to that point where it's like, okay, we're making them and everything's running, but we didn't necessarily have a home for every one of them. So you did like then you're like, okay, we have too many. Well, now we don't have enough. And then we have too many and we don't have enough. It's like
Mm.
really hard to run the business that way because it's expensive. It's cost of goods is expensive on these guns whenever you're doing what we do in the shop to hold inventory and everything that goes with it. So when we went to the new NOX9 is we're like 75 a month is what we're going to make. And that turned our whole business around to say, oh, well, there's only 75. Well, I'll take five. I can't give you five. I can only give you two. Oh,
yeah,
well, give me two every month forever. Okay, that works for us. And then we did that for dealers across the country, and it allows us to run a different kind of business. So even since the 100 days ago, since I was in person with y'all, like I've transitioned and flipped our thought of
Mm.
business around from manufacturing as many as we can, and then let's see if we can sell them all to the Lamborghini concept of, we're sold through 2020, 2028, 2029, 2030. And, why is a Lamborghini sold out till 2030 is because the next guy can't get one until he puts his money where his mouth is and he says, I want that. And they keep it like that on purpose. So, just running a different business. So that's why I say 2025, there's, been a lot of learning for us, but it's taken us into 26 with a couple of models, specific how many we're making, and then those go to specific places, and we know that that's going to sell through. So it allows us to run our business a little bit different.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, let's jump right into our first segment with you, Todd. This one's called Ask AI, and it's just for fun, but we like to ask AI about our guest, about the company that they're here to represent. Um, this week's Ask AI is brought to you by our friends over at Wheeler Tools. Don't forget to use Whiskey 10 at checkout at Wheeler Tools. Save yourself a little bit of money.
That's a sound done right. Scope rings, mounts, handguards, locked in with exact torque. Wheeler Fat Sticks don't guess, they deliver. Every click means you're dialed, not overdone. No strip threads, no compromise, just precision. Wheeler Fat Sticks. Hear the click, trust the build.
So we ask, who is Jacob Grey Firearms? Jacob Grey Firearms is a U.S. firearms manufacturer headquartered in South Carolina. The company was founded by Jacob Grey Brackett, sometimes just Jacob Grey. He is a third generation machinist who, from childhood, worked in machine shops and learned CNC, welding and precision manufacturing. Before entering firearms manufacturing, Jacob Grey was an aerospace grade machining business that produced OEM parts for aerospace and defense clients. The firearm business is vertically integrated: design, engineering, machining, assembly, all done in house under tight tolerances. They do hold a federal firearms license. Their operation includes manufacturing of firearms.
Interesting. I need you to send me that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I'll
start
link it to you.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
start
yeah.
reading I'm gonna start reading that in anybody's give me 30-second elevator pitch because they didn't miss much. There's a ton of peanut butter and jelly between that bread, but daggone that it's pretty spot on. It sounds like a few of my interviews. It's heard me talking out there in the AI space.
Man,
Um,
it's good at that.
that's funny. That's funny. No, it's good. That's good.
Well, give
So,
us.
yeah, go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say, well, give us anybody who doesn't know much about Jacob Grey. Give us the creation story of Jacob Grey Firearms.
Yeah, yeah. So to AI's point, Jacob is third generation machinist. Grew up in a machine shop. His grandpa had a machine shop, and he just kind of grew up in a family of just work, like work, machinist work. You either worked or you they're like no TV, no radio, like they just pretty religious, like tight tight family. So he had to he had to decide, do you want to go do something he didn't like, or did he want to go learn how to weld at 11 years old or 9 years old or 10 years old, so that he didn't have to sweep the floor. It's like, sweep the
Right.
floor in the shop or you learn how to weld. And he was like, I'm going to do this welding thing 'cause it's way cooler than, sweeping floors. So from a very young age, Jacob was designed to do the machine work and kind of set goals and go after it the tough way. And um, he built his first 1911 when he was 11. Instead of getting
Oh,
Christmas
wow.
presents, his dad would bring. They got it. Yeah, I think he got him Caspian frame kit, and they had to, like, on an old mill, turn a
Oh,
1911. And Jake will tell you, he's like, it was like the sloppiest gun ever, but it would shoot anything, and it never didn't run.
Mm,
But it was his first one. So, when I hear people ask, like, where'd Jacob Gray come from, and who are you guys? It's like, Jake's always made guns forever. Like, it's they've all been really custom guns, like something he just tinkers with for a while because he likes that kind of stuff: gun building, woodworking, epoxy tables, like anything in that space of just art and putting your mind to something to make a creation of something. That's kind of what Jake is, and
mm,
that's how his brain works. So from a very early age, he kind of got that bug. And then got into running a company. He was running a tool and die company. And when that tool and die company got, Boeing had came to him and said, look, our contracts being in South Carolina, like, we need to buy from us American company. And the company he was working for was Australian. And Jake said, well, what do you want me to do? And they were like, go start a shop and we'll bring our business to you in as a South Carolina USA business. And he's like, oh
mm,
my gosh. So left that, took one employee with him. It was Marty, our one of our ladies that's still with us. It was been with Jake for 15 years or 20 years, and they went off, started Jacob Gray Fire or Machining at the time, Jacob Gray Machining, and kind of ran that Boeing business for the last 15 years. Boeing, Lockheed, Skunk Works, you name it. We got in to be a gold supplier with the aerospace side. So
nice.
where, we did a lot of emergency operations stuff. So where most companies do like full production, thousands and thousands and thousands of parts, we did the opposite. We do like 6 parts, but they were like the hardest machine parts ever. We called them trays. So they'd be a tray of anywhere between 8 and 15 inches, one by one or the other, or something really hard to make. And what would happen is, generally, like, Lockheed or Boeing would call us and they say, hey, our guys try to make this. We're down to our last 3 or 4 pieces of titanium. And that's what we did the most cutting, was it's how we got really good, is we learned how to cut titanium.
Mm,
Um, they would call us and say, hey, we're down to these last few pieces and we can't make it. Can you help us? And they would come. I don't know why my camera's moved around, but but they would call us and literally say, we'll have it there, it's being delivered, can you make it, blah blah blah. And we get to the end of it, so we'd make these parts and go, okay, that was 15, 14, $20,000 per part. And that was kind of how we made, that was what we did. But we were the only ones in the east of the Mississippi that could do something like that on the aerospace side of who they had contracted. And we just so happened to be in South Carolina, and they're in Charleston. So it just kind of worked out for a long time.
This is the EXPS-3 with DCR reticle from EOTech. Engineered for speed, built for certainty. The ultra-bright holographic window gives you instant target acquisition, and the DCR reticle allows for faster shots at close range. When every second matters and accuracy can't be compromised, trust the optic designed to perform when it counts most. EOTech, performance within reach.
You'll see some guys out there try to bust our balls a little bit on the, well, Jacob lost, all these millions of dollars on Boeing business, and it's not true. Our business, we got a phone call the couple of days after those planes had crashed in 2020, right before COVID. And in the aerospace world, when they do a ground stop for like a Boeing contract, they don't just stop the guy that had the problem with the door or the hinge or the motor. They stop the entire process. So we were part of that by association, not necessarily it was, our part that was in it.
mhm.
And they literally were like, we're done. We can't make anything. We're on this long hold because now we have to go do investigation and go back in time. So kind of stopped us in our tracks. We lost $4 million in business overnight, and we'd already bought a lot of the materials, so we're kind of stuck. I say I wasn't part of the system at this point, but Jacob was. So Jacob in 2020 had to go home, told his wife and his daughter, he's like, you know, we got to sell everything. I got 6 employees. So I'm going to pause as I tell you this story. This is where I heard the story myself in a booth 3 years ago when I was talking with Jacob to go, all right, I need to do something to help this guy, not let anybody take advantage of him, and help him grow his business, because he's been through the ringer and he's salt of the earth for doing what I'm about to tell you. So he drove home, sat his wife and daughter down and said, hey, I'm going to take this thing and I'm going to sell everything we got. We're moving into a rental. We'll sell every toy I have, everything I've had, and I'm going to sell it. And I promise I'll replace it, but I'm going to sell it because I want to keep all the employees on board. Just as that happened, COVID hits. So all of this stuff hits at the same time. So he's like trying to figure out how to keep doors. So they scrub machines and toothbrush machines and, played quarters and whatever, but we didn't let anybody go through COVID. And I think there was six or eight people at the time. So they needed to figure out a way to manufacture something in money. And if you remember 2021, there was a ton of gun sales happening. ARs were flying off the shelf, and Jake's like, I can do this. I can build this with the machines I got. We're using these top of the line aerospace type machines. And so they got to it and started doing the AR-15s and the AR-10s and the AR-9s. And that's what Jake started doing. He went out and started knocking doors and went to a SHOT Show or two. And, that's kind of how I came into to the picture with him, as I was selling him some parts for the AR side in a previous life of mine. So we were at a show, and Jake and I kind of hit it off, and I was trying to sell him some parts, and he come in my booth and he was like, hey man, I'm just struggling. I just don't know what to do. I know I can make really good parts and really good pieces, but I just don't know how to get to the market. And I'm like, Jake, I've built a couple of businesses in the space. I have a good Rolodex. I can help you. I think we're talking the same language. You make the good parts and let me make it all happen for us. So went to dinner, hung out, put a deal together. And that was kind of almost 3 years ago in March. That was when Jake and I kind of came together, and we always talk about how many God things have happened in our relationship of, well, God only could have done that. God only could have made that happen. God only could have done that. And there's so many of those stories that I could tell, to just go, yeah, it's a God story. We're here, we're doing it. We're buddies, we're partners. We kind of knock it out. And, we have our living room brawls sometimes, and we go into it, and then we walk out of it hugging and bro hugging and loving and making sure that, everybody's on the same page. But we do it to make us stronger. And we know that we can communicate that way as a healthy way to communicate within the business, to make sure that we're pushing our own limits as much as, we want to push our partner or our other employee. So that's kind of the story in a really, really short system of, where Jacob Grey come from. He's been around guns forever. He was making custom 1911s. He had Jacob Grey Custom since 2008. And that was 5 or 6 high-end custom 45s that he would sell for, $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 a piece. But they were just, Safe Queens, really cool guns that you make them out of Damascus or whatever he had. But when we decided to go production, you can't do that and still get 200 guns out a month. It's impossible. So you don't have enough time in the day. So that's kind of where we made the decision. We want to be the one of the larger high-end double stack 1911 manufacturers that can, push the limits on the builds of what we're doing, bring some new innovation to over 115-year-old, model or concept, and see what we can do and see where it takes us.
When precision matters, every detail counts. Frankfurt Arsenal IntelliDropper 2.0 takes accuracy to the next level with advanced sensors, a sleek touchscreen, and effortless calibration. Whether you're fine-tuning or loading in volume, the IntelliDropper 2.0 ensures confidence in every drop. Frankfurt Arsenal, precision starts here.
Yeah, and firsthand, I've got a neighbor of mine who has a full CNC machine shop. He makes parts. I think it's SpaceX is who he does stuff for. So kind of got a little common ground there, but how has that aerospace background set the expectations for things like what tolerance should be and what finishes should be and quality control?
Right. So I have two there's kind of two schools of thought, right? Like, and we'll start with hand fitting, right? You go back in the day and it's like hand fitting. But if you hand fit the way that we do our business, if you have to hand fit, it's because you aren't utilizing the millions of dollars that we've spent on these CNC machines. When Boeing asks us to hold a tenth of a thou or a half of a thou, like you're talking your hair split in fours. So if we can't hold a tolerance with the machines that we have for a firearm, like we're just pissing up a rope. Like it doesn't like makes no sense. Now, from the old days, the Les Bear days, the old days, those guys hand fit because you only had access to so much good quality stuff. And to hand fit a gun takes a really long time. And I say now in interviews, I'm like, if you're hand fitting these days, like you just got two bad parts that you sourced and you're trying to make them work. From the old school thought process, they'd be like, you're a dick. Like this is how we do it, and this is how we've always done it, and I respect that. But the way that we do things now, the way we can cut tolerances, the way we can hold tightness, the way we can, we can make a slide in a frame fit almost 1-to-1 and leave room for microns, not even measurement. It's microns of what the DLC will bring to make those come together. So that's kind of what the aerospace side has done for us is it's allowed us to make things on such a high tolerances. We were making engine parts for these race boats in Dubai for a little while, and like they had tolerances through the roof. Like the fastest 300 mile an hour boats we're trying to make a motor for, and they don't have room for any kind of tolerance loss there, let alone the aerospace or the SpaceX guys. So what we bring is and it's funny because it's hard to go into the gun manufacturing facility and have the same exact employees that were doing all the high end machining for aerospace and be like, hey boys, today we're making AR-15s. You got 30 thou to play with. And they're like, what is like, we don't even use that word.
30 thou.
Yeah. 30 thou. You may as well start talking in inches or get me a ruler. Like that's just that's their concept, right? So it's really hard to dumb it down or be dumber for a day and make a handgun or make a AR-15. So, that's just because we were ingrained in it for 15 years. It's allowed us to, continue to bring that every day to what we're trying to do. And from the beginning of it, we were always attacking something, right? Like we were always attacking. And when I came to the Jacob Grey, I was like, Jake, I need to know everything you have, dude. What's in your brain? What's in your file cabinet? And he started going down the line, and I just so happened to get a few phone calls from a guy going, dude, if I could have more of these X things, I could sell them every day. And I'm like, what are these X things? And he told me, and I was like, okay, Jake, can you do a double stack 1911? He's like, yeah, I could probably do that. I've been wanting to make one of those. I'm like, all right, sweet. We're on the right track. So then me and Jay, my marketing director, Jay, that's a God story. You met him at the show, Jay Duncan. He's part of our team, and he was, employee number one at Daniel way back with Marty when they were doing garage door hand guards and all the stuff that with it. And he's been around the industry for 20 years. So, he's my VP of marketing, right hand man, does everything, from that side of it with the customer service. And it's just, he's knocked it out of the park. And I said, Jay, we got to do a market analysis and figure out where there's a hole in this double stack 1911 space. So we kind of got to the work, and we saw this little line on this, quadrant of like higher price, higher quality. And it kind of always, from Prodigy all the way to Infinity, it's exactly one line. It doesn't matter. You go a little better, it's going to be a higher price. So in the beginning, I always talk about it. It was kind of like we were basically doing what the NFL does. We had a salary cap, and we had to put a team together. And I was trying to take an aluminum grip module into the $2,500 space when no one else was doing it. Everybody was in that plastic, still in the polymer grip at that price point. And that was kind of the first thing. Well, when you do that, you can't have the best quarterback, the best running back, the best receiver, the best linebacker, the best tight end, and the best, you can't have that. My boy Matt has no idea what I'm talking about because he's not a sports guy.
I know enough about football to know that you got to have some money to pay for the best of them. So
you got to have the good players, but you can't have them all on a salary cap. So like you go spend all your money on the aluminum grip and the this and the that. you lose out on certain parts that you have to concede on. And that's kind of how we had to bring our TWC9 out. The grip module had smooth sides because we were at the max of how long the machine could run at 2499. So we just kind of worked our way through it. And that's when I say we've learned our way and, hit bumps and humps into the system. That's kind of how we got where we're at today is, and customer feedback is huge for us. Customer service is huge for us. And if you look at every gun that we've done, I can take you through the stories of 2499 was the attack plan. But the next one was everybody wanted more grip texture. Okay, that got us to $29.99 with more grip texture. And then we got to ported gun. We wanted a ported gun. Now we got a Compton ported gun with the NOX. And, we're just we listen and then we try to adapt. And then every time we do that, we make it even better. We make our quality even better to where we kind of set a new standard of our own. And then we kind of move on. So I'd say that the TWC9 and the HEX at this point is probably, or TWC9, TWC Black is probably chapter 1. The HEX is probably chapter 1.5, and we're in full go chapter 2 of Jacob Grey in our story of who we are, what we're doing here now with the launch of the NOX, and then we got another new gun that we're going to have out hopefully by the end of the year. That'll be a variation of something what we're currently doing. So SHOT Show should be really busy for us this year with our booth. But yeah, it's awesome, dude. It's been a great time, and the people out there. You're always going to get your, trolls and your haters, but 99% of the people out there have seen what we do. They've experienced what we are about, and we're just good old dudes who make guns and want to, bring people into the Jacob Grey family and be a part of it.
When precision matters, trust the tool that delivers. The Wheeler Pro Series 100-piece fat wrench kit brings unmatched control to your bench. With torque you can trust and 100 purpose-built bits, it's the all-in-one answer for gunsmiths, builders, and perfectionists. Whether you're mounting optics or dialing in fine details, this kit hits every mark. Clean, confident, repeatable. No guesswork, no strip screws. Just pro-level performance in your hands. Upgrade your bench with Wheeler tools.
So what do you want Jacob Grey, that name, what do you want that name to mean to firearms customers 5 years from now?
5 years from now, we'll be a portfolio player. And what I mean by that is I want to be I want to be a company that is known for quality across the board. I've already tried it with a little bit of suppressor stuff. We have our AR-15, our AR-10s, our AR-9s. There was another product that was kind of in prototyping that I said put on the shelf. We're not going to talk about that for a couple of years. So I think based on in the space that we're in, I think that we are probably one of the fastest growing in the space that we're in, that double stack 1911 space, as far as the brand and the quality of the brand equity. But what I want to do is bring something that nobody else that's in our direct kind of competition in that world can bring. And what I mean by that is, in 5 years from now, we'll have a full line of, ARs, the 2011s, who knows, polymer guns. We don't know where we're going, and there's nothing that's going to stop us. The Jacob Grey brand is what Jacob Grey brand in customer service is the number one, that's the pedestal. What comes under that I don't know what that looks like in 5 years. It could be mousetraps if we have a run on mousetraps or something. I don't care.
Billet mousetraps.
Billet mousetraps.
I love
it
The
could be
best
it
in the
could
world,
be
though,
any
I bet.
yeah, but it could be anything, right? I'll take advantage of anything that we can manage, as long as it fits who we are, right? I don't want to just do something that's, totally outside the realm of who we are as people, but if it's there and it's a new thing, we don't know what the next new concept is, or we don't know how long the 2011 ride's going to be. I'm hoping 5 or 7 years from now. At least that's what everybody's telling me, which would be awesome, because then we can add in our other stuff. But ARs are as dead as it gets right now. And who knows when the next ones of those come, but when they come, we just flip a switch and we're ready to go. So I'm trying to diversify so that we don't have all of our eggs in one side of the business, so that if it does go a little dead or comes back, we're ready for it. And that's kind of the way that I want to run the business. As far as income, I have a goal. I have something in my mind of where I want to take this company. And, we've already, we've already doubled or tripled our growth in the first two or 3 years that I've been here. And I told Jacob on an airplane ride to Germany 3 years ago on my first day on the job, I was like, bro, give me 36 months. You give me 36 months and I'll have us, you'll be happy. Because I know how long it takes to get us. You have a year of learning, you have a year of just the struggles, and then the third year is like finally when everything starts to come together. In March of this year will be 36 months and to almost to the day. So I'm almost there. I'm knocking it out. So trying to do my best for this guy.
Oh yeah.
I love it, dude.
So
I love it. Well, man, Todd, we've made it to our second segment of the show, which is our rapid fire segment. It's very similar to like the final ending of a game show.
okay.
Going to ask you some questions, going to be some quick, easy answers. We'll bust through them as quick as possible. And this week, our rapid fire is brought to us by our friends over at EOTech. Man, they've got some really cool stuff dropping this year at SHOT. Some of it's leaked, some of it isn't. If you guys are in the area and have your FFL, definitely check them out at SHOT Show. And if you're not, just go on their site, use code Whiskey10 and save yourself 10% at checkout. Premium performance doesn't have to come with a premium price tag. The Voodoo X series combines trusted EOTech quality with the features shooters rely on most. Adjustable parallax for clarity at any distance, an illuminated reticle for all lighting conditions, and magnification ranges for every scenario. Whether you're chasing big game or ringing steel, this lineup can do it all. The Voodoo X series from EOTech, precision within reach. Here we go. Rapid fire questions. What's the first gun you remember shooting?
First gun I remember shooting was a Ruger 1022.
All right.
Classic.
If you had to pick one caliber you could shoot for the rest of your life, what caliber would it be?
6mm arc.
All right. What is more satisfying, a tactical reload or a mag dump?
Wow. I would say mag dump.
Hell yeah. So, all right. What would you rather be known for against when put up against your peers? The perfect drill time or the perfect grouping?
Grouping.
All right. One firearm that you regret selling.
Ooh. I don't think I've ever sold one. I've only traded for really more expensive things, but I don't think I've ever technically sold one.
Okay. Well, that's a good answer.
Most of us have lost one. We could
Yeah.
never get back.
Yeah. So complete this sentence. A good day at the range always ends with.
An empty ammo can.
All right. So AR or AK?
AR.
Screw you, Matt. So what is more satisfying personally?
Dude, that's one thing I actually go back to that real quick. I don't own an AK. It's
Me
like the only
neither.
thing.
Mike
Me
doesn't
neither.
own one
AK.
either.
Yeah, they're smooth.
I've shot them and I'm like, these are nice, but I've never bought one.
So what is more satisfying again, ringing steel at 50 or achieving precision at 1,000?
Precision at 1,000. 50's easy.
All right. All right, you keep up trading all your guns here, but is there a gun you hate to admit you owned?
Oh. I have a couple of 32s that it was handed down by my dad, so I don't know that I regret that, but like they're not cool, but they're
Yeah.
there. They're like pocket guns.
I get that. Get that.
Everything
So-
else is pretty cool and
Everything
manly.
else I got is pretty freaking sweet. Honestly.
Yeah.
So the last question is, would you rather run a pistol stage with a 45 without eyes and ears or run it barefoot?
Oh, barefoot.
Okay. All right. Pretty simple, man. Pretty simple. You made it through rapid fire. That wasn't too painful. And now we get to get into the NOX9.
Okay. NOX9. All right,
So-
tell me what you want.
All right, Matt, lead us off.
All right. So it's obviously, I mean, you mentioned it before, but it just since that range day has generated quite a bit of buzz. It's 5 inches, ported, comped, double stack, 1911, glossing over a lot of the specs, but we'll hear more about it from you as the source. But walk us through the concept that became the NOX9 and what makes it different.
Okay. So there's some stuff that I've done. This year has been like I'm an athlete by nature. Played baseball in college, and I hate losing. And then when I don't get respected, I get chips on my shoulder, and it makes it worse. So that's kind of where I'm at with this thing. And Jacob and I are really similar in that nature. So like when somebody tells us we if we don't have a seat at the table, we make a seat at the table kind of thing. So that's kind of where we're
Yeah.
at with the Knox is who's Jacob Gray and where y'all come from and why do you think you're cool? And then we'll see like another just rando just drop and they'll be like, oh, they're cool. It's like, wait a minute, I'm confused. I'm confused, but I'm gonna make my way to that table, just letting you know. Um, so the Knox 9 has been in Jake's head for 10 years. And all of the time that he's been building, like he's had this vision of this crazy, crazy cool gun. And time has allowed things to happen to get other things to kind of come together to be like, that kind of is kind of what I was thinking, but not really. And kind of what I was thinking, but not really. So when we went to the drawing board, I'm like 10 years of stuff in the engineer and machinist's head. I can only imagine what you're going to try to build. And he told me one day, he's like, you wait till you can wait till we have it to where I can put steel on steel. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I did custom 45s where I could set the steel on steel, no coatings, and I would tilt my gun and the slide would just slide one way or the other because it was so perfect. And I'm like, okay. So then we, come to production time and want to do a steel frame because traditionally we've done aluminum on our 9, our black, our hexes. They're aluminum frame with a 4140 slide. So, they're really nice, but not steel on steel with, DLC and everything that goes with it. So
Mm.
that kind of was the first thing. And, that I was like, I know he's going to come up with something just super cool. And then I the only thing I would say that I kind of started years ago when we did our first TWC 9 was looking at all the 2011 grips and going, why do they all look exactly the same? Well, now 2 years later, I know there's only a few guys actually make them and everybody
I
else
was gonna say they're all
they
made in the
source
same
from them.
place.
Yeah, they're same place. But I mean, down to the tool bark, if you really get good at it, he's done so much research this year that he'll literally be like, the tool mark's the same on every one of those, and it's like that's 4 different companies. Yeah, I know. It's they whatever. So it's kind of a joke around the shop. But the one thing I told him at the beginning, I was like, man, the first time I ever picked up a HK VP9, it felt like a glove in my I just felt so perfect. And I was like, can we do that with a 2011? And he's like, I don't know. That was in the TWC 9 days. Well, now fast forward 2 years and I was like, what do we got? What do we want? I'm like, freaking VP and not make a VP9 2011 grip and we'll freaking sell thousands of them. And he's, it isn't exactly obviously, but the thoughts and what we felt when we held a gun like that is what we brought to the Knox. And that is the one thing we've trademarked it. Like no one can make a grip that looks like ours. Like that grip with the high saddle, the big palm swell on it. There's some dimples on the bottom. Like we've locked it down to where, we have to, if anybody wants to do anything like it, they're going to have to call us and, get permission or we'll have to figure out something with them. But that was the one thing that we know. And now that I've put a few thousand rounds through my Knox at these range days and, we've sent it out for review, everybody is like, it's something about when I feel it and when I grab that gun, it's just so nice in my hand. You can get really high on it because of the way that we cut the beaver tail. Like it's a custom beaver tail for us. So it all, feathers in nice and neat. And then the undercut and how we do it up under the trigger. Like, I mean, you can get all the way around it where most guns you can't. So we're going to bring that, the grip module to the next models coming forward as we go, and kind of leave that up and down, straight up and down concept for everybody else and keep ours, with what everybody likes. So the Knox 9 was, the biggest thing was finding the price point again. We watched all year people popping up with $6,000-$7,000 guns. And I just kept going, where and why is this? How is this even happening? They're buying parts from 4 different people and assembling them and maybe doing some machining and maybe coating them. but that's like, that was at the end. I'm like, that none of these guys have machine shop like we do. And I mean, Jacob and I looked at it. I was like, we're going to stay under 6. We got a machine shop that's got way much overhead than everybody else. And we're going to stay under 6 just to prove that it can be done with the high tolerances and the stuff that we're doing. So we got a little sassy on some videos, you know, calling out some people. But I think if they're not talking about you, it's, you know, then they're not talking about you and they're not paying attention to you. So got a little bit sassy on some stuff. Just calling people out of like, you know, you don't really make anything. All you do is assemble. Okay, you make something, you make a part here and there, but you don't make the other parts. I mean, most people are, you know, getting stuff from, you know, the company that everybody knows out there. And that's cool if that's what you do. I don't know how it cost you $6,000 or $7,000 to do it. And that's kind of what we were at, is attacking that. Stay under 6,000. Compton ported, we were told by somebody in the industry who's really tied in. It's like, no one's doing this. It was something that we started, you know, months ago. I think there might be one other guy that's doing it now, you know, full circle. There's probably somebody out there that's got one by now, but that was kind of the original, was like Compton ported. And this gun is so soft that I've got guys that shoot it and they stovepipe it because they're trying too hard to do what they do with every other gun they have. And I'm just like, just relax and let the gun work. Don't touch the slide. Don't ride a high. You don't have to. There's no recoil. So that's kind of that's the fun part about the NOX that we brought, is, you know, high quality, high coatings, you know, down to the micron. It's freaking awesome. And you guys shot it, didn't you? You shot it there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That gun.
I tried to steal it. Jay wouldn't let me.
It's awesome. Hold on. I don't know if I'll go out of here.
Show and tell.
So I don't know if it'll let me do it on here, but this is it, man. So I've got probably 4,000 rounds, 3,000, 4,000 rounds through this. Ported, comped, DLC, PVD coated barrel, Canyon copper, pin beaver tail. But the one thing that you guys will see whenever you start playing with this thing is like, there's 4 and 5 pieces of metal coming together there. And if I was closing my eyes, I'd be like, yeah, we got one chunk of metal here. There's no overage. Nothing's, you know, touching each other.
And that's all CNC work. There's no hand filing on those beaver tails.
The only thing that we do that's a little bit of a handwork is our back end right here.
Okay.
Because in order to have a good blend right here,
yeah,
you have to have your ejector in the gun to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And we haven't experimented it with it a little bit, but right now we're just doing it because we know we can do it. But you start trying to cut 2 pieces of metal in a CNC machine at the same time, you could get some burrs or get gummed up or break a tool. So we're kind of being cautious and taking the time to do that back section. But every other part of this gun is no hand fit. I mean, all of these lines right here, these are all cut off the machine to keep it that tight. The back of the beaver tail safety. Yeah. All that.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Smooth.
Holy cow. There it goes. Now we're back.
All those lines in here. There's nothing, like, you can't feel it. And there's right here's a spot, try to keep it from doing that background thing. Right here's a spot that there's 1 piece here, 2, 3, 4, like there's 4 chunks of metal that's come together and it feels so smooth. Like it's perfect.
Dude, that's awesome.
And that was for Jacob. That was his big thing. Like mine was this grip feel. Like I want to feel it amazing. And this part right here.
I was going to say, it looks like a VP9 grip.
And then you see these cuts here. These were the ones that when somebody grabs this gun and goes, I don't know why it feels so good. It's these bottom ones and this top piece. It just fits your hand perfect. And so that was my big thing, was like, I just want something that's just a perfect grip. Yeah. Yeah, you like that?
I was gonna say, yeah, I like that. But I like how I can see just in this area right here, you've taken it in even more.
Yeah.
Or the radius is slightly different, and then the shaving on the side is definitely different. Because I mean,
you can get so high. Right here.
Even if you have a big hand, like this little spot between where your thumb and your index meet, I mean, it's. The quicker you can get up, or the further up you can get in there, like, man, dude, that looks nice.
Like that's up. And I got That's on a standard kind of, 1911 double stack magazine, and I don't have big hands at all, and you can see like I got plenty of grip to get on it. But the tightness of the tolerances, this thing is it's just butter. Um, so that was Jake's big thing, was he wanted everything to blend because, looking and doing all the research that he did, he's like, well, I know whose safety that is. I know whose beaver tail that is. I know whose mainspring housing that is. I know who this is. I know who that is. I know whose grip that is, because he could see like there's a gap because the two companies didn't talk and they didn't match it up. So you then either that or you get it oversized and you hand file it and it's a custom hand fit gun when really you just got parts that didn't fit.
So the NOX9, so it's it's not it's not your run of the mill, and um it's not inexpensive. I guess that's the best way to put it, because you know, who is the NOX9 built for? Is it competition shooters? Is it home defense, duty carry, all of the above? Like, when you set out to build this, who did you set out to build this for?
My goal was to build a gun that would compete with the guys that are in the competition circuit outside of somebody that's like open, right? Open with huge ports. And that's not even the same thing. That's a totally different class. But like a 5-inch gun that would be ran in, open or, without the whole gas pedal, everything else that went with it. We wanted to come out with a gun at under $6,000 that could every bit of compete with, an Apollo or an Aris from Atlas or someone, one of the guys that has been known forever. And I think we've done that. I think that this gun, the way that it's built, is probably there's two customers. There's your like guy there's probably 3 customers. The Jacob Grey fanboy that wants everyone, that guy will buy it. The guy that is into competitions and wants something new and just wants to try something new. The cool thing about what we're doing is we're doing that in the comped and ported, but we're also in probably early of 2026. I'm going to have a weighted barrel that's not comped and ported that can be dropped right into this gun for a guy that wants to run open or not open at a competition. So he's still running the same gun. It just has a different barrel and it doesn't have all the ports and comps. So that will be something that will be an upgrade on our website after the first of the year. That a guy for competition could run this and go with it. And then you got your safe queen guys, or the guys that just have money and they want nice cool things that they can tell their buddies about. This
Man,
isn't your like everyday guy gun. It really isn't. It's like we're gonna make everyday guy guns, but this one is just primo, man. It's premium.
So I got a follow-up question, because I think it's going to go back to the engineering and the tight tolerances on the machines. But something you just said is mostly unheard of in the double stack 1911 space. And you just said that you were going to sell a weighted barrel, and I'm not going to have to send my NOX9 into a gunsmith to make sure it's fitted correctly. Is that, like, because your tolerances are so tight, you're going to be
Drop
able
it
to
in.
swap barrels and they're going to be drop in instead of, well,
Yeah.
we're going to need your receiver so we can fit it to your receiver. Wow.
We've been doing that, dude. We've been doing that for 2 years now with our 9 and our 9, our black and our hex. Like I sell threaded barrel. I got some new ones coming out. I got some DLC cool colors coming out for guys that want to just trick out their hex or their black. But yeah, we run it's tolerances, man. Why not? It's like you have all this stuff. Why not use it? And
Yeah.
if you don't, like, and don't try to tell me that it's because you're doing something special. It's like in the old days, I'll give you the credit. Yeah, you had to, but not whenever we have all this crazy machinery.
That makes sense.
Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff. Dude, we got machines right now that can tell us, it'll text us when something's not right. It'll take pictures of tools going hundreds of miles an hour, and it'll know if it's got a chip on it or if it's got a break on it. And it's called tool breakage. It'll literally stop, grab another tool. We got one of our programs on our machines. It's a pallet changer that if it's making steel frames and it has 2 tools mess up in a row, it'll say time to stop doing this for the night till somebody comes in, takes it out, and then brings in a different part that's not using those tools, and it'll just keep making parts overnight while we're not even in the building. Or it'll send us a text and say, hey, we had a breakage of a tool. Make sure you guys check XYZ. Like, this, like, why not use that stuff?
Dude, I'm with you. I'm with you. It's crazy to me because you fill in the blanks, everybody listening. I mean, take your favorite. It's not like this VP9. It's not like the SIG 365 or the Glock 17 and just, oh, I'm going to go online and buy a barrel.
Yeah,
You can go buy barrels for 2011s. And when you do, uh, y- most of the time there's a little work. Not to say you can't do it at home if you
right.
need your way around, around the shop, but for the most part, that's unheard of. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So that's a big thing, whenever every company, it doesn't matter how big you are, you're going to have subcontractors, right? So there are parts in our guns that are technically made by a company that that we talk to and say, hey, make it exactly how I just drew this, and you have to make it that way. If you don't, I don't take it. Like it's a
Yeah.
subcontractor. So some of the parts that we have that, are ones that need to be right, but not like right, like ours right, then that's what we would use, certain little small parts.
Yeah.
But like the frame and the slide and the grip module, like that all we want. The barrels we have down to like the perfect drawings. And our guys, there's so many, we're aerospace. So we didn't really talk about this in the aerospace side, but we're AS 9100 certified. And that, nope, not many, and I don't even know how many guns
I don't know what
manufacturers are
that
actually
means.
like
Yeah.
that. So AS 9100 is an aerospace certification for the aerospace world because you're doing flyaway parts or like airplanes, which mean there's so many red tapes behind there that if something happens wrong in your building, it has to be documented, has to be able to be shown, has to be able to be proven, has to be able to, there's a corrective action that goes with it. So
Okay.
we have to do the same thing because they don't just stop whenever we say we're making guns today versus a couple of airplane parts. Like they come in and audit our business. So we have to do the same thing on the gun side. So, if we do have a problem where something's just not to tolerance, or we see a couple of problems in our customer service side of, hey, this is starting to give us some issues, we have to stop down and go back and go, okay, what's the root cause? What's the corrective action? And then what's the move forward plan so it doesn't happen again?
Right.
And so, ISO, you've heard of ISO
ISO.
9000.
Yeah.
Everybody has ISO. So everybody has ISO, but ISO is actually inside AS 9100 in like a book of the whole thing. So it's like ISO on steroids is what we do. And that's why our guns, if something's not right or something's wrong, or we figure out that we're seeing a trend in something that's not jiving at the customer side, we'll bring it back in and figure out, okay, let's go back in time and figure out so we can move forward and make it perfect. So there's a lot to it, man. There's so much to it. I've learned so much in a couple of years. It's been a great ride so far.
Good.
Yeah.
So, Todd, there's in performance, there's always a trade off or a compromise. Adding or removing features from any firearm, a rifle, a pistol, a duty gun, a competition gun, whatever you're playing with. But explain why porting and compensating achieve the same goal in different ways when you use them separately, but how they do it the best together, I guess.
Okay.
Porting versus
If you,
compensating.
yeah. So you've shot ported guns, you've shot comped guns, and there's a difference in recoil on both of those. You're depending on which way your ports are cut, but generally comps are pressing gases up. So you're going to get less muzzle rise. So a lot of the times on those, the ported or comped, you're trying to get less muzzle rise, better control, and that's really kind of right. That's it, right? Muzzle rise and control of the gun. So you're not getting a bunch of muzzle rise, and it runs flat. You can still do that with either or, but I still think that there's still a little bit of an aggression or a violentness to the shot, right? When you do that, um, I'm sure there's some comps that are really, really just make it easy to shoot. But what we've learned in doing both of them is we've controlled it to where we had to go back and forth, and we built the comp and then we added the gas ports. Well, then we had to come down a little bit and down a little bit and down a little bit to make sure everything's working right. So our goal was to try to slow the slide down just enough that you didn't feel the hit into your hand and the slam back forward. So that's a science in itself. But you do that by taking gas and inertia out of the equation to say, okay, if we have too much gas, it's going to blow back. If we have too little gas, it's not going to get far enough. You're going to have stovepipes. You're going to have problems. You have to run different springs. So what we found was the porting in the comp goes from when you shoot the NOX, it's not like your traditional gun where you kind of feel the snap or feel it. It's more, and a guy told me this and I've kind of stuck with it. He's like, it feels like air ride suspension on a car. Like it's just soft. It's way soft and super flat. And that's why I said earlier, like, just enjoy the ride. It's one of those, like, just pull the trigger and enjoy the ride, because you don't have to drive into it. You don't have to hold it tight. You don't have, like, it's just a nice shooting gun. So we did it because no one else was trying it. And we've realized that, by doing it, it made a gun that almost, some guy said negative recoil. Like, it's just like, those are the words that I hear: negative recoil, air ride suspension. I've never heard that with just ports or just comps. And with our ported gun, our hexes, I've shot them all next to each other, and the hex is just like bam, 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 bam. It's fast. It's fast, and it goes. And the NOX just like, it feels good. It's I don't know. It's hard to explain until you shoot it, but that's as good of AI words as I can give you today.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got to shoot both of them. We got to shoot the hex and we got to shoot the NOX at the range day. And when you guys approach the X style grip that's on the NOX, and the side serrations and, all the different controls, comparing just the hex grip, aside from the looks, do you prefer one over the other as far as the X pattern or the hex pattern, the hexagonal pattern?
So from right now, as we sit today, I think the NOX one is, because of the way that it fits up in your palm swell, I would have to say the X's, but the hex itself is a kind of top secret that I'll say on here is coming soon. And I have said now that a hex is coming soon, and the module is going to be transitioned into future pistols. So the new model, I seen a picture of it. We ran our first one last week. So there is a hex version of our grip coming, and I'll be able to tell you on the next podcast which one I like better. But whenever they're two different grips, I would say the NOX right now, just because I like the feel of it. I have a feeling, the way that I've seen, that the new hex one is going to be really, really cool. Like, it's like, I'm kind of excited about that one, and I'm hoping that we have it to launch by the end of the year, but it's probably going to be a SHOT Show launch for us.
Yeah, because I was going to say, shooting them both, I preferred the tactness of the hex on the sides of my hands, but like you say, I did like the feel, and I didn't know all of the stuff beforehand, but I did like the way the NOX felt better. Not for the fact of knowing, oh, this is a more expensive pistol. Everything that we've talked about, you ride higher, you achieve a better grip, because of the angle, because of all the details. But I personally preferred the hex grip, the pattern better. And I think it looks cool too. That's pretty exciting. Yeah. I wanted to ask you, and I guess once you get them both, you can compare and get back to us.
I have a feeling the hex is going to be the one that everybody's going to be like, man, this feels like, the guys who want aggressive, the hex one, I think, is going to fit all that in there. But I won't know I actually go to the shop in 2 weeks. So I go out to the shop for a week a month. So I'll get my hands on it, and I'll text you and let you know.
Let me know. Hell yeah.
All right. Well, before we jump into some of the other stuff that Jacob Grey is doing, let's take a quick commercial break and hear from one of our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Your workspace matters, and the Tipton Best Gun Vise 360 doesn't play around. Built for serious shooters, this vise locks down rifles, shotguns, and ARs with zero movement and full control. Tool-free adjustments, rock-solid clamping, and a 360-degree rotating cradle give you access from every angle. No shortcuts, no compromises. Whether you're building, cleaning, or dialing in, this vise was made to keep up. Tipton Best Gun Vise 360. Built to hold, built to work.
All right, welcome back from the short break. Appreciate you guys coming back in. Todd, we're gonna jump right into it because Jacob Gray, I mean, it sounds like you've made a little bit of everything, but in the firearm space, we've talked about the NOX9, the HEX, but you guys make a few other products. So let's finish up on the pistols and then get into the rifle lineup. So give us the lines of pistols that you guys are offering right now.
Okay. So we're done with the TWC 9. It's kind of it's like a legacy model at this point. There's no more being manufactured. There's no more TWC blacks being manufactured. So they're kind of like the early days of Jacob Gray guns. If they're out there, pick one up, throw it in your safe because you never know. I think the hexes right now are currently in production. The hexes kind of running, and that's our I'd say our price point, $3,500 gun right now. Going into the new year, we launched the NOX, so the NOX is in full production. The other hex that I'm talking about, that's going to go into full production starting in the probably Q1 going into SHOT Show. So those will be our two big guns. Our goal is to do 200 to 250 guns a month. So 75 hexes, 75 Noxes, that gets us to 150. There's a couple of other guns that we have that will probably drop Q1, Q2, but it's going to be a simpler version of like our current Nox or current hex. Just kind of fits into the price point. So we'll probably have 4 or 5 models going in through 2026. And then after that, that's our pistol line. Like that's where we feel comfortable as a company to make the best of the best at that rate with the team that we have, the machines we have. And then after we get to that and streamline it, then we can make a decision if there's another remodel or something like that we want to develop from the pistol side. But like I told you from the beginning, we don't want to get to where we only do one thing. It's the only thing we get good at. And then the world goes, well, we don't like that no more. And we go, well, what are we going to do to run this company? And we don't have that idea anymore. So, going to, that's the pistols. So moving into the other stuff we do, I'm going to get into some more accessories this year. Stuff that I got a cool product that's getting launched at SHOT Show. We'll have to make sure you guys swing by. It's a new product, and it's a product that we developed with another company, and we're the sole manufacturers of it. And it can actually be used in any 1911 that's ever been made. And it's really, really cool. It's an upgrade product, give you a better shooting experience, but the original 1911 all the way until the most newest 1911, like you can utilize it and it'll help you. So it's pretty cool product. I'm going to launch it at SHOT Show this year. So that'll be a fun one to want to make sure you come past. I'm going to have a skeletonized gun so you can kind of see through it and see what happens and see how it works. But it'll be a drop-in system to make a 1911 just a nicer shooting gun. That's for 9mm, 45, you name it. And unless it's ported and comped, because we've tried in our ported and comped gun and it actually made it worse. So because it's already so soft and doesn't shoot. But
at
so
least
that's
you're
something
honest. At least you're like, hey, we made it.
No, it is. I literally I closed my eyes at the range and I picked it up, and 4 other people did the same thing, and I was like, this is the one that feels the best. And they're like, yeah, that doesn't happen. I'm like, okay, fine, we're not using it.
Hey, that's the R&D in it, man.
But it's because it's so soft, and that goes back to our ports and comps. Like, there's a science behind it. So then you go back in time to 2021, and that's the AR-15s. So we have an AR-15 ultralight, comes in about 6.5 pounds, fully made, out of billet. So billet upper, billet lower, billet dust cover. Then what I did with the AR-15 stuff was, because it took kind of a dive on the market of AR-15s. You need a Radical at $300, not your guy. You want a nice gun that'll shoot and you can lay down, and if you miss, it's because you're not a good shooter. That I'm your guy. Like that's what we want to be. So we designed a high tolerance fitting gun. Source really good barrels. Bring in B5 furniture. Armaspec or Radian charging handle, safety selector. So we try to do the upgrade. We have a 3.5 pound trigger that's freaking awesome. It's a drop-in trigger, and people tell me that I'm crazy for not marketing it harder, but it's an awesome drop-in trigger. Um, 3.5 pounds. So it's like we just try to make a really good upper lower set. Easy handguard, 7-side M-lock, make sure everything's coated nice and neat, and then bring in just the buddies around the industry, the best product that's out there without going too crazy. But literally, if you get our gun from us, I put most of the upgrades that you would need, unless you want, red, purple, blue. I can't control that, but like you're getting a nice gun when you get our stuff.
Okay. So the 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 AR stuff, historically, I used to see it at distribution. I could see it on one or two of my sites that were distribution, and you could buy anything from just a lower and build your own thing, all the way up to full on rifles. Is that still the path
No.
we're going? No.
No, when I met Jacob, you'll laugh at this. When I met Jacob, I was like, "So how many of the blue toolboxes did you sell out the back of the building to make the light bill happen?" Because that's what I felt like when I walked into the lineup of what he was doing. I'm like, "We can't do this no more. It's not working." So it was great for the time, and we needed it to happen to be able to get through a hard time. But
Sure.
I wanted simplistic. We're more simplistic. I got like 8 or 9 rifles that I offer. I don't really do upper lower sets anymore. We did that for a while. It's the money's okay, and it's just a lot of machine time for not much revenue or not much profitability on those parts when I could put it all together and give you a nice rifle. So we did do that in the beginning. We had all kinds of parts pieces that we had made and pushed out the door, and then I retracted on a lot of that. And now we just do, I think our price sheet's down to one page again, where we have, eight or so AR-15s. We don't do the AR-10 right now. We had a change on some things that we wanted to do, and when we moved to our new facility, which we are in now, we got all new machines for that specific part. So I haven't been with all 2011 stuff, I haven't even had time to rerun anything new. So that's actually a 2026 project, is to revamp and renovate and bring back to the market the AR market for Jacob Grey.
Mm.
We've organically, because of the growth that we've had guys go, "Man, we've got 2 of your pistols. I can only imagine what your AR's like." And it's like wanting to get our ARs. I'm like, "Slow down, 2026. Let me have till 2026 so we can get stuff done." So we are in the mode of getting that kind of back to where we're machining those certain times of the year, and making a portion to be able to get up and be able to push out the AR line. So that's really, where we at. We do a cool PCC 9. Little 4.5-inch barrel on it, and great for
Yeah.
suppressor. It's got an LRBHO in it from the factory. Last round bolt hold open. That's one of our accessories we sell. So we cut the little groove in it to make sure that, your last round holds open. So it's just, run a little SBA 3 or SBA 4 pistol stock on it, and thing just runs and runs and runs. So that's kind of what we do on the AR side of it. It's something we've kind of backburnered because of the market just not being really strong. And we've, been in the middle of this 2011 race for 2.5, 3 years now. And we're kind of hitting our stride where we want to be there, to where I have the ability to focus on the other side there, as we go. So that's
It's
kind
good.
of, it's
I
kind of
was
where
gonna
we're
say,
at.
it's a good problem to have, though. I mean, it's a good problem to say, I really want to get back into building these ARs right now, even though the market is pretty much tapped, and it's tough to stand out in that crowded market. And it's still great for you guys to be like, man, we still intend on doing that.
Yeah, yeah, and I think
Yeah.
if you wanted to be a big, I say a big manufacturer, if you wanted to manufacture hundreds or thousands of guns a month, the market's not looking for that. If you can make, 50, 100 guns a month, and you have 30, 40 dealers out there pushing you across the country, it's an add to our, top line revenue that can just help the company do cooler things and reinvest in marketing and better machinery and new equipment, things like that. So it kind of helps us. It's just times just we've had the time to do it, and now we're kind of getting into that time where we can. We definitely have the machinery to do it. It was more man hours and mental capacity to to run and program and fixture. Dude, we make all of our own fixtures in house. So when we do a fixture, we actually make the fixture in house so that we know all the tolerances are perfect. We're not buying a fixture from somewhere and bringing it in and have to adapt to what
Right.
they did. So it's another thing that we do on the machining side.
Also, Todd, there's another product that we've kind of glazed over that we've seen before in the past. I don't know a whole lot about it, but tell us about the Artemis. I know it's a 22 suppressor, but uh, tell us about that.
So the Artemis was I won't say it was how do I want to explain the Artemis? The Artemis was a opportunity for me to see if how the market was.
Okay, an
Had a
exercise.
company. Yeah, it was an exercise. The
Okay.
company called me, had a good friend from a past life, went to a company. They had manufactured these for another big company in our industry, and the deal had fell through, and they designed it for a specific company. Um, and they said, "Hey, man, we have 850 of these, and we don't know what to do with them." And I said, "Well, can I make them Jacob Gray's version of whatever it is?" And they said, "Yes." So that's kind of what the Artemis was. It was a gun suppressor, 22 suppressor, supposed to have some flow technology in it, I guess, and had some patents on it, and they didn't know what to do with them. They weren't a marketing company, they weren't a sales company, and I was like, I can try and see what I can do. So we reached out, we put it into distribution, had some dealers pull it in, and we got through the 800, and then, some things had happened in their company and they weren't able to keep making them for me. So it just kind of happened. It was kind of a flash in the pan. It
Yeah.
worked well. I think it was priced where they needed me to price it was just a little bit higher than I wanted to be. So I was it probably should have came in a little bit less expensive. But I mean, I have a couple of them. They did the job and the project worked. But if I was to go forward, I wouldn't do a 22 can first. I would look at, a 30 cal can first. And some of those conversations may or may not be already happening.
I was gonna say,
I
is that your last dabbling in suppressor or
No, based on email that I had today, like it's not over, but
I've
it's not
I
on it's not forefront. It might be on a back burner too, but I
Mhm.
definitely am not leaving it as an option with tax stamps and everything that's happening. Everybody's jumping in on the game.
Yeah.
Like I said from the beginning, I don't have to do thousands of something. I only need to do hundreds of something. But if I do hundreds of 10 things, I do thousands of things. But I've diversified to the point where I can navigate when something dries up and not have a problem in my business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go on to the testing and the user experience. So when you guys make one of these guns, I'm not I don't know if you follow a recognized testing procedure or if you guys just do something in-house, but talk about what you guys do as far as testing when you bring a new one to market.
Oh, to market like a brand new gun, like a Knox gun?
Yeah, like let's talk about the Knox. Like what kind of
Okay.
testing went into that to make sure that yeah, we got it right.
3 years or 2 years of selling guns, the same concept of chassis, right? Like the TWC9, the black and the HEX chassis is similar. It's a 1911. Once you get above the grip, it's kind of 1911. Like you don't change a whole lot because that's just the way it's built. So a lot of our testing was the 14 grip modules that we went through before we found the one
Yeah.
that was like, this feels the best, this is the best. And that's a lot of time, right, making these things on the machines and going, I don't like it. We just ran 4 hours to get that done. So that was I would say that's kind of stuff that we've done. Aesthetics, obviously that's not that hard to do, but as far as the comp and the port, that was one of the things that once we got it together, spring weights and spring tensions and what spring are you using in the mainspring housing and what spring are you using on the guide rod system, and then which one's the most consistent, and then you got to go through all the different ammos because everybody's going to want to shoot the different ammo. So I think that what is it, October, November? So November, we started this project 9 months ago. So right after SHOT Show is when we realized that we needed to come out with our next big thing. And, so we've spent the whole spring dialing it up, summer getting it kind of machined and start trying all the R&D. And then this fall luckily we had one for the Guns Out TV, for that opportunity. But that was like down to the last minute. I was at the shop and we were down to the last hour, like coloring things in with black just to make sure it looked like a normal gun and not something that was prototyping. But the from the our goal is always to and we've learned the hard way, is we come out with a gun that's been tried and tested. And this gun, this gun that's sitting here on my desk, there's 5,000-6,000 rounds through that. We've learned a lot from it. There's a couple other guns at the shop that 5,000-10,000 rounds through it that we've learned and tested it to make sure it's right. So when we manufacture it, when you manufacture one of these, if you're just a gun builder, you're just trying to get it to work. If you're a manufacturer, I got to not only make sure it works, but I got to make sure a guy can put up 2 or 3 or 5 a day together and it still works. So there's a lot that Jacob, he's in the shop. I work from a remote space, but that's what Jacob is really good at, is he's just come down to like the processes and the systems and the, down to how we ship stuff in and out. Like if you've not watched the video of me going through our shop, like I highly recommend it. It's really cool to show the styrofoam and the foam cutouts and how the armor receives a gun and puts it together. And then our testing system of, if our gun doesn't go out and shoot off our range, it goes back and starts kind of not at zero from a zero part, but like it goes back to start over and go, why is it not working? And then it can't go any farther until it passes its firing test. And then after that, it goes through a whole other QC of somebody that's a third party in the shop that's qualified to QC it. So there's a ton of it that goes in from our perspective to hit our AS 9100 and then make sure a customer, when they get it, it's going to do everything it needs to do.
So I guess my follow-up to that would be, in the event you guys do everything right and it's just the nature of the beast, there's always going to be that one-off. There's always going to be that one thing, or maybe there's not even anything wrong and it's all user error. And that guy thinks that he got the raw end of the deal. In those events where something isn't quite right, what is the warranty protocol in place for Jacob Grey?
So I preach this on a daily basis, and my team has accepted and actually outdone what I would even ask them to do most of the time on the customer service side. My goal is, if I buy something from you, I want to experience the same thing you would want to experience from us. So if a customer calls me and he's just having trouble, I can't tell you how many times I've FaceTimed a person because they can't get their slide stop back in and they're pissed, or they're calling in going, I can't do this. And it's like, well, you're not educated on it, and that's fine. That's not a bad thing. I wasn't educated on the alphabet till I went through kindergarten. So let me show you how to do this. And I'll take time and I'll get a customer on the phone or a FaceTime and say, take your time. It's going to suck because you've never done it before. And don't do a dummy mark, take your time, get it up over the little plunger and you'll be fine. And then I get it to do, oh, well, I didn't know that was that easy. It's just because you didn't know. And the problem is people out there talk too fast instead of just ask for help. And then you got to deal with that, the repercussions of, the guys that talk crap on you. But most of the time, people who call us, they get more than if it gets to my desk, my team has exhausted everything that I've allowed them to do. The last 2 Mondays I've made phone calls and it's been that guy, the anomaly, right? The last Monday I called a guy and I was like, hey, and he was so pissed in an email on Friday to my team and just like, this is, and I called him and I was like, look, you're the winner. He's like, what? And I was like, yeah, I guess you win for customer with the most problems last week. So you get me now. And it kind of break the ice on him. And I'm like, I was like, I'll give you the next 3 minutes to tell me everything about how bad your service is and how bad you don't like it. And then we're going to start from a real conversation and let me try to help you. Like, I'll take it. Go ahead. If you want to do it for 3 minutes, I'll give you 3 minutes. We'll start the clock and we'll go. And then, and that usually also breaks the ice. They're like, no,
Yeah.
that's not what I'm saying. I just need to know what it is. And then, you start getting to the root cause and you end up finding out, that it's just something that just needs fixed. And there are certain people, there's 3 of us that do those kinds of calls, and I tell my team, I'm like, all 3 of us can have the exact same phone call with the exact same person, and 2 of us will probably have a bad call, and 1 of us will just hit it off with that person.
That's how
Yeah.
it
So,
goes.
just because it gets to my desk doesn't mean y'all didn't do your job. It means that I might be the one person that can make that potential hit off if y'all couldn't do it, and because it's not getting to my desk, all the other ones you do. So, it's just trying to make sure people are taken care of, man. And I'll go to the ends. Like, I told the guy, I was like, send me your gun back. I'll fix it. I was like, I'll send it to you by Friday. Let your guy go shoot it. And if it sucks next weekend, call me back next Monday and let's start over again. Like, we'll do it again until I get this thing right. And, it just gives him the sense of like, okay, he's in the fight with me. He's here to, to get dirty. He knows it's not what it's supposed to do. And we just do what we got to do. I don't know how else to do it. I mean, that's how I would want somebody to walk through something that was a negative thing. If I was like, dude, your product's just not working. Okay, well, I'll talk to you next Monday. Let me know how it goes. And then we'll start over and figure out what it is that
The way
didn't
it
work
should be.
last weekend. So, yeah. So it's just more or less just humanity, man. And I think we're so far away from that in business that people are afraid to talk to each other. There's not real humanity. And that's one thing that we've tried to do is humanize Jacob Gray. That video going through our shop, that's a humanization thing that I
Yeah.
did intentionally. It was a strategic move to say, hey, 2011 space, we're not afraid to show you what's behind the doors, because most other people are, because they're not really doing a whole lot. They're assembling or making things from, parts and pieces they get. We're making everything, or we at least source it from a person that we told them what we want it to look like. And that's kind of like that's the humanization that, we're a South Carolina business with 17 families. We're faith believers, and we try to build a good culture around the building. And if somebody that buys something from us becomes part of our family, then now you're a part of our family, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I keep your business.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, it's crazy because in the world we live in now, it's sad, just as all of us in general, that I used to be able to say, "Hey, I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure if this is right." And that sentence would fall on deaf ears. And more often nowadays, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So the louder I
Yeah.
scream and the bigger I blow up, oh, he must be serious, instead of, oh, he just probably doesn't know how to shoot it, or he's using the wrong
Yeah.
ammo. So and you deal with that. I deal with it. We all do. The customers that most of the time come off the top ropes are doing it for show, just to make sure we're listening. And
Right.
once you talk them through a few things, then they're like, then you see who they really are, and you're like, all right, you're not a bad person. You're not even having a bad experience. There's just 1 or 2 little weird things that are happening that we can fix, and we're gonna
Yeah.
go through this together. And I hope you're
At
happy.
the end of the day, I mean, life's too short, dude, and everything can be fixed if you really care about it, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
how much time and energy you want to put into it. And there are some there are anomalies that I'm like, I have no freaking idea, dude, what you're doing or how you're doing it or why it's not working for you, but I'm going to stay here as long as I can, without just saying, yeah, I got to throw my hands up. And I've only done that once, where I just swapped out a whole gun. I'm like, dude, this is like the second time, he's 3 times, whatever it was. And he's still having an issue. I'm like, I'm just going to give you a new one to see if this works, because I don't know what's wrong with this one. I got to take it back and do some real diving in to see if it's just a lemon. And we have that in every industry, cars or whatever you name it. There's always going to be
Yeah.
something that just doesn't jive and we can't control it. Um, but yeah, that's the way. I'll tell you a funny story to kind of wrap up as you guys want to, but I was at the shop a couple of months ago, and the best ones are the guys that talk behind the keyboard, that don't have the balls
Yeah.
to have a
They're my
conversation in real
favorite.
life.
They're my
Like,
favorite.
yeah.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I used to hate confrontation until I went through, like, counseling and how to learn how to, do things and more confident in my professional life, and now it's like I kinda thrive on it, and it's bad some days, like, I'm like, "All right, let's do this."
I
Like,
wish
"Y'all
they
really
would.
wanna do this?" Yeah, so, um, about 2 or 3 months ago, my girl Rachel, who's customer service, comes out and she's flustered, and I'm like, "What is going on?" And she's like, "I try to do everything for this customer, and he just wrote a bad thing on Reddit and this and that." And I'm like, "Well, what'd he say?" And he was like, "The worst customer service and this and that and other." And she's going off on why he's doing this, and the gun's broken and whatever. And I was like, "Rachel, let me read this." So I read it. I'm like, "It's interesting." I was like, "Well, what have you done?" And she's like, "Todd, I've done everything. I've called him. I've let him talk to Tanner, the armor. I've done this. I've done that. I've sent him hats." And I'm like, "Okay." I was like, "Let's go to your office." And she's like, "What are we going to do?" I was like, "Let's just go to your office." So I sit in the chair across from her, and I'm like, "What's his phone number?" And she's like, "Here's his phone number." And I call him on speakerphone, and he's like, "Hello?" And I was like, "Hey, this is Todd, president of Jacob Grey. How are you?" "I'm doing good." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "I heard you're busting my balls on Reddit. How can I help you?" And he was like, "Blah, blah, 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 blah." He literally couldn't talk, bro. It was the best thing ever. And Rachel is literally going, "What are you doing? That is not allowed in customer service." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"I
it
am
is.
customer service. I'm like the one who makes the rules of our customer service." I
El
was like, "So I hear,"
Presidente.
yeah, I was like, "I hear you're busting my balls on Reddit, man." I was like, "What's the problem?" I was like, "Everything I'm reading here, it sounds like we're doing everything we can." "Well, it's just not doing this and it's not doing that." I was like, "It sounds like you need some help." And he was like, "I've been asking for help." I'm like, "No, it sounds like you don't know what you're doing with our gun. Like, let's FaceTime." "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I'm FaceTiming you right now." And he was so distraught, bro. Like, "I really wasn't talking bad about you." And I'm like, "No, you really were. I just read the comment." I was like, "So," got through the whole thing, and I had to teach him how to put his slide stop in because he couldn't get it in, and the guide rod was something he didn't understand, and I walked him through the whole thing, and he was like, "Well, this is the best experience that I've had." I was like, "How about we go to Reddit and say that, sir?"
Please.
So
Yeah.
so it's kind of funny, like, in my team, whenever I get in that mode of like, "All right, there's a tiptoe line, y'all took a big old step over it, let's go." It's fun to just kinda, go in and chat with those folks about stuff, and then you're right, you learn about them, and you're like, "Dude, you just like, why did you go to the keyboard? Just call and ask questions, like, stop." It's like the world that we live in. I just wanna, get after it, but it is what it
Yeah.
is. So that's the fun stuff that happens, and I'm just like, "Okay, that was worth it." Got a customer for life now because he realized that, we're just humans too. We're not some corporate company that's doesn't care about him.
Yeah. Well, Matt, I believe it's that last question, brother.
I think it's that time, and I'm actually kind of excited for this because I mean I don't know Todd that well, but he's obviously got a decent taste in firearms. So we want to know a little bit about that taste, Todd. It is time for top 5 guns. They don't have to be guns you own. There's no NFA rules, no cost of ammunition. It could be a freaking aircraft carrier for all I care. But you do have to cover all the types of shooting you like to do in life with only 5 guns. So, Todd, president over there at Jacob Gray, what 5 guns are you taking with you?
Okay, I'm gonna go with for a pistol, I need an everyday carry pistol. So that would be, hmm
And you don't have to
I
use
don't wanna just go with Jacob Gray's, right? Like, I'll go with a little bit of everything. So, a really nice high-end pistol for fun shooting will be the NOX9. I'll take that one because that is one of the best pistols on the planet. So, I got my NOX9. I've done Chat GPT to wonder why I need a 50 cal about 50 times, and it ended up telling me is that it's prestige and you don't need one. So, I definitely need a 50 cal, so M107A or a
Preach.
Cadex trimmer. So we'll call that one, or we'll call that one. So there's
You can call
2.
that one, yeah.
Um, if shit ever hits the fan and you gotta live off the land, I think it'd be cool to have like a really nice built out 22 with a suppressor so you could just eat.
There you go.
Okay. So you gotta have something. And then you do need a polymer gun. You need something polymer. Um, it would probably be a 509 or a Glock 19X.
All right. Yeah.
That would be my polymer gun just for like,
Solid.
just running my deal.
Yep.
And then what would be last? you guys want me to get? Oh, my 6 ARC AR-15.
There it
Dude,
is.
that's
you
the
go.
beast mode. That's the beast mode of a round. It's one of my favorite
Well, and
rounds.
because it's AR, it's modular, so you could swap the tops
There you
on it.
go.
It could be anything.
Well, you
So
can
I can
defend,
shoot little things. I can shoot really big things.
and you
I
can
can
defend
run
the
a
house.
pistol, and I can have fun. Yeah, there you go. There's your 5. That's got to be a good list.
He
That's
hates
a really good
AKs
list.
and shotguns.
Good. Me too.
Yeah.
I never need a shotgun.
Yeah.
I can shoot ducks. I can shoot ducks and geese with a 22
Or
There you go.
or a 50 cal.
or a 50
Yes.
cal.
I
Dude,
love it. Well, guys,
we're still
we-
recording. I would have said something funny, but we're still on air. I got a
So-
funny thing.
yeah.
I
So
can
guys,
say.
if you want to check out Jacob Grey and see all the cool things they're cooking up, check them out. You can go to their website, Jacob Grey, Grey, firearms.com. If you check them out on Instagram or their socials, it's at Jacob Grey Firearms _ for Instagram. Just look them up, man. And Todd, before we close out, is there any final words?
No, man, we've covered a lot, and I appreciate everybody that's out there. Give us a chance. We're just, good company. We're growing fast, and we love to hear from people. If you have any issues, we want to hear people if they have something they like about us or don't like about what's going on for their experience, because I feel like that is what will continue to drive our business in the right direction. But we're on ground floor. Like I say, we're in chapter 2, and I don't know how many chapters we're going to make in the book, but I feel very confident that, we're on a 10 to 15 year plan of what we're trying to do to build out that portfolio business and run, have new things coming out all the time and stay relevant. So, if anybody has any questions, reach out to us and we'll be more than glad to help you.
Great. Well, on behalf of Matt and myself and Todd, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys next week.